everybody. This is episode 3 of VXI Conversations. My name is Jamie, and I'm so excited to be here. We're here to discuss interesting topics surrounding the BPO industry. Let's talk about our previous episodes first. For our previous episodes, select VXI team members have talked about what the BPO industry is and some of the assumptions and misconceptions about working in this industry. Today, we're going to discuss job applications in the new normal. But before we get this conversation going, let me introduce our wonderful guests for this episode. We have Kaloy from Davao City, and we also have JC from QC. So let's ask them to introduce themselves and talk about their experience in the BPO industry and VXI Philippines specifically. Kaloy, maayong buntag.
Hi, Jamie. Mayong buntag, guys.
Hello
By
as
the way,
well,
my name
JC.
is. Oh no, okay.
Go ahead, Kaloy. Go ahead. Can you tell us more about yourself, Kaloy, and your experience in the BPO industry?
I can certainly do that. Yeah, my name is Karl Salgado, guys. You can call me Kaloy. Everyone in the industry call me Kaloy. I've been in the BPO industry for a little more than 10 years now, and I started as an agent for 2 years. I worked as an agent, and then I was promoted as a training specialist,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in VXI before. And then right now I'm with the recruitment department. I'm in talent
Nice.
acquisition, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
here for, I guess, 5 years now, handling sourcing in Davao City.
That's amazing. So you're
And
perfect
yeah,
for this discussion, Kaloy, because you're in recruitment.
yeah. Yes, Jamie. I guess we will be discussing about how they can apply and what things they need to prepare. Yeah. So yeah, let's discuss that
Exactly.
later.
All right. Now, especially because we're going through a new normal with a global pandemic we're facing right now. So we'll get into the nitty gritty details of job applications in the new normal. Again, Kaloy works in recruitment, so that's going to be perfect for our discussion later. We also have JC. Hi, JC. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us more about yourself and your experience in the BPO industry and VXI specifically?
Of course, and hello to you as well, Jamie. So, my name is Carlo di Salud, but people call me JC. I've been
Mm-hmm.
in the BPO industry for almost 3 years now, and I'm almost 2 years now with VXI. And as of the moment, I'm part of the quality department of VXI. I'm a quality analyst in Bridgetown, QC site.
Nice. Okay. I love that in 3 years, you are already a part of the quality team. Amazing job, JC. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners can learn from both of you in terms of how they can start their careers in the BPO industry and VXI Philippines specifically. So let's get our conversation about this topic started. Now, I think a lot of our viewers and listeners are fresh graduates. So, before they start this process of job hunting, what tips should they know or should they really be prepared for before they search for a company to work for? Let's start off with Kaloy. What tips should our fresh graduates, especially out there listening to this conversation, what should they know before they search for a company they can work for? Kaloy?
Yeah, I'm so and
I'm
yeah,
sorry, can you
Jamie, to
hear me,
answer.
Kaloy? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, well, I guess the first thing to accomplish when they are planning to apply would be to do a research on what industries and specializations are currently on trend or in demand right now.
Okay.
So that's
So
what
they
they
need
should
to
check
know
first.
what industries and specializations are currently or on trend or in demand right now, even with a pandemic in place. So that's something that they should first know. JC, do you have anything else to add to what Kaloy just said?
Actually, in addition to what Kaloy said, it is correct, specifically now that we are in a pandemic. So you really have to do your research and then ask yourself, um, has this particular industry that you're applying to been able to operate despite the various lockdowns and restrictions, or is it one of the industries that temporarily had to stop its business.
Case in point, the BPO industry. I've been a witness to this. Despite the global pandemic happening, the BPO industry continues to deliver. So, can you talk about that? The BPO workers out there are considered the economic frontliners of the country. Kaloy, what can you say about that?
Yeah, that is correct, Jamie. Workers in the industry, in the BPO industry, are considered economic frontliners because, despite the various restrictions that happened because of COVID, BPO companies were able to power through and continue their operations. And they have made adjustments in terms of the hybrid work model. So it's not the same as
Mhm.
before. Some employees are working at site now, while others are allowed to work at home. And at the onset of the pandemic, there were even some BPO companies that offered free transportation and accommodation for their workers. I can
Mhm.
remember VXI doing that during the start of the ECQ, the lockdown, and
Yeah.
yeah, doing that is so that the businesses will not get disrupted, and so that
Mhm.
the workers will be able to continue working and earning so that they can provide for their families. And recently these BPO workers have now been included in the A4 vaccination priority group. So hopefully, moving forward, more workers would be able to get vaccinated, and yeah, we can go back to the pre-pandemic working setup.
We all hope for that. But it's great that
Yeah.
in the meantime, Kaloy, the industry makes sure that employees are safe and they have all the resources they need to be able to continue to deliver what is expected of them and beyond expectations. JC, what can you say about that? You've been in the company for the last 3 years, two of which was during the global pandemic. Do you have anything to add to what Kaloy just mentioned?
Actually, I am one of the living witnesses of the free accommodation and transportation that was
Mm-hmm.
offered to us here in VXI. That was way back when ECQ was really like the real lockdown. VXI offered door-to-door shuttle services, and if you're not okay with traveling, VXI even offered a um, an accommodation in one of the condos in Eastwood.
Wow.
And
Passion for
also,
people indeed. Mm-hmm. Go
right,
ahead, JC.
yeah, something that I like to add is about the BPO industry and its employees being economic frontliners is, according to a recent report from the DTI, BPO has actually endured the pandemic better than the other industries, and it has even
Mm.
contributed a lot to our economy in terms of monetary tax contribution as well as employment opportunities despite the ravaging effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's wonderful. Congratulations for being able to do that, guys. So, a big pat on the back for VXI Philippines. I mean, JC himself was able to experience VXI PH, always making sure that he was safe, especially at the onset of the pandemic. And, we've talked about job applications in the new normal despite the pandemic. VXI Philippines is still there to ensure that job opportunities are available for all of you. So please know that. And with that said, let's go back to our topic for this episode. We've talked about having to make sure you know on trend and in demand industries. And we've also talked about the BPO industry still being there, still being able to provide job opportunities despite what's happening right now. So let's go back to our discussion. Once that's all in place, what do you think is the next thing that our applicants need to do? Kaloy?
Mhm. Um, the first thing that they would have to do would be to update their resume and other online job profiles. So let's say if I'm the
Mm-hmm.
recruiter and I'm searching for possible candidates, and if I see your profile on, let's say, LinkedIn, or it could be on Facebook Jobs, I'd appreciate it better if I can see your most recent educational background and
Mm-hmm.
certifications. And most likely No, I would pass on candidates whose profiles have obviously not been updated in a very long time. Just for the sake of submitting a CV. Some people do that, but
Yeah.
yeah, and also it's really important that they highlight their current contact details so that we can contact them right away. So it's the new normal right now, and before, maybe the contact details, it didn't really matter much because people would
Mhm.
apply personally, face to face. But right now, since we have to contact them over the phone, we have to send them emails and whatnot. It's really important. Just take it from me, guys, there have been a lot of applications wherein they would not include their contact details. And yeah, as part of the recruitment team, we cannot really do anything if we cannot contact you. So make sure it's updated.
Take it from somebody who works in the recruitment department, guys. Update your profiles and make sure your contact details are there as well. Thank you for sharing that, Kaloy. Now, once the applicant has successfully submitted his or her application and the recruiter has scheduled him or her for an interview, what's the next step, JC?
So, because we're in a pandemic, chances are the hiring process will be done online or via a phone call. Make sure that technical issues are resolved beforehand. Check if your video or mic is working, and see if you can find a quiet area in your house where you can stay during the interview so there will be no distractions such as barking dogs or children playing somewhere in the house.
That's a great tip. Now, what about you, JC? When you were interviewed for a post, did that happen through a call in the beginning of the recruitment process?
Right. So I do have dogs at home, and when the talent acquisition, um, yeah, they called in. The dogs were really barking, and I had to find a silent spot wherein I could hear the TA who contacted me.
So, such great tips, Kaloy and JC. Make sure your updated number is on your profile. Make sure to update your profile. And once they call you, also make sure that distractions are far away from you so you can focus on that conversation with the recruitment specialist. Now, after that, congratulations. Hopefully, now you're part of the company you're aiming for. What's left to cover after this step, Kaloy?
Mhm. Once they have already signed the job offer, or if they are scheduled to sign the job offer, I guess what they can do next would be to evaluate how ready they are for their assigned role. So if you are, let's say, asked to report to the office, so you have to first check if you are able to go to the office. You should plan your daily commute. Will there be public buses or jeepneys going to the office and from the office? So yeah, that's the things that you would have to consider. And also, if you are working at home, then you would also have to check if you have internet connection. If you don't have it yet, so you have to really apply for an internet connection. It should be fast enough to accommodate your work requirements. And you should check if you have a work area, designated work area in your house. It's not enough that you can work just in your bed because it will be a 9-hour shift most of the time. So you should really
Exactly.
have a good work area. And also, noise canceling headsets would be awesome,
Mm-hmm.
since you'd be talking to customers, to clients, and all that. So it would be best to avoid background noises.
Okay. So it's not the end of the journey.
Yeah, I
Once you
guess
get
that's it.
into the company, you have to make sure you are ready to deliver what is expected of you. So once again, make sure you have your work area. Noise canceling headphones are important if you can have that as well. And I think the most important too, if you work from home, Kaloy, is your internet connection, right? But I really love
Yeah.
that. the BPO industry is offering that option to work from home because, it is the new normal out there and safety is still first. So I love that that is being offered to employees in this company. JC, what do you have to add to what Kaloy mentioned about being well prepared for the job as soon as you get the job?
Now, I actually agree with Kaloy since I've also experienced both work at home and work at site. So I
Mm-hmm.
agree with his work at home tips. Now, here's a little something for work at site, folks. So you also need to make sure that you are safe at all times. Eat and drink healthy. Take vitamins daily, and never forget to wear your mask and face shield every time you go out because our main priority should always be our safety.
I love that. Top priority is the safety of the employees. Thank you for sharing that, JC. I think that's very valuable considering you've experienced both working from home and working at the site as well. Know that if you pursue a career in VXI, your safety is really on top of the list of priorities. Now, before we end this really helpful discussion and informative discussion, I hope that, JC, you can share your VXI story with all our viewers and listeners because I believe you applied during the pandemic, right, Jace?
Right, that's actually correct, Jamie. So, a bit of my story. Back in 2020, I was one of the many Filipinos who lost their jobs because of
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic. But thankfully, BXI opened its doors to me and gave me an opportunity for employment. At the time, many companies were retrenching and furloughing their employees, but VXI endured and was even able to provide opportunities for the masses. And I was hired as an agent back then, and I later on got promoted as a QA. And I will forever be thankful to VXI for it was them who was there during my time of need.
That's such an inspiring story. Thank you for sharing that with us on this episode. And you can be like JC and you can be like Kaloy. Don't let the pandemic stop you from pursuing a career you love and for from working for a company that will help you grow within that company. Thank you once again for sharing that. Now, before we wrap up our episode, I just want to give thanks to Kaloy in Davao City and to JC in Quezon City for joining us for this episode. Do you have anything else to share before we say goodbye today, Kaloy?
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. And hopefully, I get to see you in VXI
Yes.
soon.
So that's an invitation from someone in the recruitment department. Okay. Hopefully, we see
Yep.
you at VXI soon. What about you, Jace? Do you have anything else to say before we say goodbye today?
We're ramping here in Bridgetown, and we're hoping to see you soon.
All right. Okay, that's crystal clear, guys. Both of them are inviting you to start a career. Yes, not just to work, but to start a career in VXI Philippines. Now, we hope that you learned something from our discussion with Kaloy and JC for today's episode. And we really wish you the best as you embark on this exciting job hunting journey. At this point, again, I want to reiterate what Kaloy and JC said. We'd like to invite anyone who's interested to be a part of the VXI family. You're welcome to apply if you have good English communication skills and if you're a graduate of at least high school, old curriculum, or senior high school. VXI is looking for customer service representatives, technical support representatives, sales representatives, and also, there are numerous corporate role opportunities for interested candidates. You can also get in touch with a talent acquisition team for further inquiries. You can find them easily on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and even on TikTok by typing in the keywords VXIPH on the search field. And you can email your questions at careersph@vxi.com. Once again, careersph@vxi.com. salud.com. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Yes, that sums up our discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and comment down below because we want to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future topics, please make sure to leave comments. And again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. This has been, once again, VXI Conversations. Till our next episode. Bye, everybody, and stay safe.